All right.
Awesome.
Okay, so Lori, how nervous are you right now?
Very.
Awesome. It is good to have you here.
Good to be here.
Thank you for being so real on your shitty first draft, by the way. Thank you so much. It really takes a brave person to do what you're doing, because this is going to be public, but what you're going to do is you're going to just do your very best to just completely be as though it was just a session with us. Guys who are listening, just imagine the magnitude of challenge it would be to kind of go through a session.
I'll be right back.
Sure. Just imagine the challenge it would be for somebody to go through a session and really get real and get personal, get very vulnerable with this issue. And what the overview method is, just to give you a little bit of a background, the overview method is basically credited. I have to give all the credit to Dr. John DeMartini, who really taught me how to shift my perspective using his method called the DeMartini method. So what I've done is I've taken his work and I have transformed it into something I believe that kids can really get, teenagers can really get, and you can do this on yourself. Now, those of you who are overview method facilitators or facilitators in training, and studying this work, or those of you who participated in a workshop, I teach the fundamentals in the workshops, but after doing what I've been doing for the past 10 to 15 years, I tend to freestyle it. It's kind of like salsa dancing. You know, the masters, they're constantly practicing the basics, but when it gets to the performance, it's kind of, we go with the flow. And my job here is to get Lori to a state of gratitude for where she's at. So are there any questions? Is there anything that I need to know, Amanda? Anything
Only that
here?
if we can't make me a host, I won't be able to moderate the chat and also the tweets and the Facebooks. So we just need to figure that out real quick.
Okay.
So last
Do you have
time,
any ideas?
well, last time we did this, I was logged in as you, so I was playing around a bit. Let's see.
Fine.
So you don't have a right click, hey?
Nope, I just have
What
a
about,
tap.
you see all the little circles above us?
Above us.
Yep. Like it's.
Yep, there's an X.
Can you see the circle with my picture?
Not in my. Nope.
I'm going to come over to you. Hold on.
All right. Thank you guys for your patience. We're having a little technical difficulty. Oh, hello.
Oh, hello.
So what do I do? That's Amanda. She's my right hand. What do I do? I can tap on yours.
Oh, because you're on your phone.
Yeah. I can go like.
So we'll have to do that for me on the computer next time.
Okay. All right. So here we are. So the first thing I want to do is to go over, hopefully everybody read your shitty first draft. Thanks for being super, super duper real. The importance of that is to get it out on paper or get it out on computer. How did that feel? Just can you go back to that, Lori, and tell me how it felt to actually get everything out and get real?
Well, initially, I think it was a little hard. There's like a lot of resistance, and my inner critical self-talk is like, is it good enough? Am I doing it right? Is this how it's supposed to be? So
did a great job, by the way.
Thank you. Finally getting it all out, it did feel good. And then afterwards, I kept paying attention to my behavior around food and my thoughts and all of those things. So what I realized is that like right after, the day after, or the night of writing that shitty first draft, I was with friends and I was overeating. And I realized my thought process as I'm doing this. And one thing that I would have wanted to add to my shitty first draft was that I hate myself when I'm overeating.
Okay. Thank you for getting real about that. I mean, it's so common, and I've gone through periods where it's just unconsciously. What's happening is we're filling a void with our addictions. And so there's some sort of an emptiness that we feel inside. And the whole point of this overview is to come up with where that emptiness is coming from, why it's there, and how we can actually transform it. So going to your values, your highest values is what? We talked about this before, is your family. You have a husband and a child. Tell me about your family.
Two kids. Yeah.
2 kids. How old are they?
5. My daughter is 5 and my son is 10 months old.
So number 1 is the raising of these kids and this family dynamic, keeping this family dynamic together and unified, and creating a magical experience for these kids. And personal development is and your family. Personal development is up there as well as a result.
Yeah, totally.
So because of the fact that you have a high value on family, you feel that personal development that you've been studying, and you're becoming kind of well-versed in the overview method and chipping away at it and learning this tool, because you feel that by learning this, you're going to have a greater fulfillment with the family, keeping them tight and unified.
Yeah, my whole personal development journey came out of when my daughter was born, and just feeling like this void that I always felt, and I thought that would be filled when I had my family, wasn't. And I realized
it's important to note. Sorry to interrupt you. It's important to note that your parents broke up. They split up, and they were divorced when you were how old?
7.
7. Okay, go on.
Yeah. So the lack of family definitely created a value for that. And then when my daughter was born, I really expected that everything, all the emptiness that I felt inside was going to be fulfilled once I had my baby. And even though my heart was overflowing with love, and even though I felt so whole in so many ways, and I started to value my life more when I became a mother, that void, that big void was still there, and it shook me to the core. And that's when you
started this journey.
Yeah, I actually started the journey off by losing weight. And then I got pregnant again, so I gained a lot of it back.
Nice. So I just out of curiosity, I want you to take me back to when you first had those feelings. So right now is where let's say last night is your scene where you're overeating with your friends, right? We're going to use that as the reality scene where you're judging yourself for overeating and the fact that you're overweight and all of this stuff and this kind of conflict with that. Let's use that as our reality scene. I shouldn't be eating so much. I should weigh less. These are the fantasies that you have.
Yeah, and I have a question for you about that. Because one of the things that came up for me is you also sent me a list of questions to answer in terms of my values. Now, I've been doing a lot of work on values, and nowhere does food ever come up. But I spend an awful lot of time, energy, and money on food, and I feel as though junk food could have its own category.
Right. Okay. Cool. And we have higher minded things that we pay attention to, and then we have like addictions. I mean, you can spend $300, $400, $500 a month on cigarettes. Some people do. They spend that much money, hundreds of dollars a month on cigarettes. It's, what's the difference between a value and an addiction? So let's really focus on family and personal development, because that's where a lot of the time, effort, energy, money does go into. So what I want to do is to go back. I'd like you to see from this whole conflict, what is from last night's scene, what's the main belief or interpretation? What was it that you had said in your shitty first draft? That I'm too fat to be attractive. What was it? What was the I am belief? What's the interpretation about the entire thing? You should weigh less. I should weigh less. I shouldn't be eating so much. So basically, what does that mean about you?
I think there's definitely a belief that I'm too fat to get any kind of attention. Um,
Any positive attention from the opposite sex?
yeah.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is, I'm just going to get you to take me back to when you first noticed you starting to gain weight. When was how old were you when it all happened? Just out of curiosity.
Okay, so there's a few moments in life that I remember where there was a big shift in my weight.
Okay.
I think the earliest was when I started to when my hormones started to increase, and I remember being like every other kid in the class, and then suddenly I was twice their size. And
Okay.
I couldn't figure out, like, I remember where I was when I had that thought, that realization that, like, I'm what I used to be, just like these kids.
Perfect. How old were you in that scene?
$10 or $11.
Perfect. So I'm going to get you into that scene, and I want you to really, let's go. So, I mean, you looked and you were like, I should weigh. What were the fantasies? What are the shoulds of that scene in 10 to 11? So just a little bit of background. Stress can only happen when we have a reality, i.e. you're 10 years old, you look around and you're now twice the weight of these other kids. And the only reason why you have this feeling of stress is because you have a belief that it should be something else. What was your should in that moment at 10 or 11?
That I should look like all the other kids in the class, all the other girls in the class.
Do you have a pen and paper?
Yeah.
Can you write that down, please? I should look like all the other girls in the class. Perfect. And now, because you don't, I should weigh less, I should look like all the other girls. Because you don't, and that was around 10 or 11, right?
Yeah.
What was the interpretation, the I am statement that we make? Because the reason why I'm giving this, I'm kind of giving this as like a little bit of an understanding for everybody listening, is that stress in any scene that we go through, we only find it stressful when we make the interpretation about something inadequate about us. And it's usually an unconscious I am statement. I'm stupid. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy of love. I'm disconnected. I'm alone. I'm not normal. I'm not lovable. These are just examples. So go to that moment, and I really want you to get connected on your interpretation of that scene.
I think it was I'm fat, I'm ugly.
Great. So I want you to write that down. I'm fat and I'm ugly. And I want you to go into that, and I want you to connect to the feelings of those feelings and get really uncomfortable. And this is the time for you to get real with it. I want you to really connect with that. And on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being I'm grateful for that scene exactly as it is, 10 being through the roof, I want you to really get honest with yourself and check in and tell me where you're at on a scale of 0 to 10 with that one.
I'm at a 10.
You're at a 10. So you feel it in your body, like you feel that sick to your stomach, stressed feeling. Describe it to me.
I feel it here, and it like shoots down into my stomach and back up, and shoots down into my stomach and back up.
Just out of curiosity, do you ever have any health issues with that, like your digestion or that kind of a feeling throughout your day? Do you ever notice that that's a predominant feeling that you have, Laura?
I take Zantac daily.
Bingo. Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you take Zantac daily, and now when we go back to a scene, you feel the same area just in the digestive tube. Interesting how our emotions are tied to our body. You can't convince me that the mind and the body are not linked. I've done enough overviews, and I always ask the same question. When you're into that scene, connect with that feeling. Where do you feel it in your body? Some people will feel it here, and then they'll have, some sort of a hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism, throat, thyroid cancer, whatever. They have it in the bowels. So I want you to really connect with that. And as you're sitting there in that scene, I want you to, what I'm doing right now, we're going into the depolarization phase of the overview. This is the active meditation portion, which Lori already knows, she's familiar with. So she's actually going into that feeling and getting uncomfortable. This is the most important part. most of the time we repress these shitty feelings from our past, and the overview actually does the exact opposite. We go right into that feeling and bring it up and feel that in that digestive tract as you were describing. And now tell me what feeling comes up. And if you want to cry, and this is exactly, you feel like you want to let that out, that's good. Just feel that right now. I want you to connect with that. And this is the part where if you're really doing it right, which you are, you're actually connecting with those uncomfortable feelings and bringing them up, because most of the time they're repressed. We stuff our faces to try to empty that feeling, but we're just going to go right into it right now and feel that in your body and describe a feeling that's coming up. Is there guilt? Is there shame? Is there anger?
Guilt, shame, inadequacy.
Bring up the feeling of the guilt and shame right now. I really want you to connect with it and get uncomfortable. You're doing freaking awesome. You're doing amazing. Feel that guilt and that shame. And I want you to connect with that in your body and tell me where in your body that you feel that, even though it's uncomfortable. Where do you feel it?
I'm feeling it in the pit of my stomach.
Good. Sit with that one for a moment and just allow that to be. Now, as you know, you can't feel one emotion without the exact opposite. This is the duality of love. And we go into this in the workshop. But I'm going to get you to go into that feeling and tell me at that exact same moment, go into 10 or 11. And I want you to tell me where you felt pride. Good. Where you felt pride and innocence in that moment. Were you the teacher's pet?
Not yet.
Not yet. But look around in that exact moment in all areas of life. Where did you have pride? And I want you to be very honest. Were you smarter than everybody? Were you prettier at the time? Were you more aware? Did you have were you like getting better grades? Look in every area. Where was your pride at the age of 10 or 11? With the weight, you probably had the shame and the guilt, but where did you have that sense of pride and innocence in that moment?
I was proud of my, my family's social standing.
Ah, good, good, good. Bring that feeling in there. Because of the community, right? It's a big, social is a big thing, a big value for you as well. Social, just knowing you and observing you and how connected you are. Bring up that feeling of social pride that you had with the family at that exact moment. Describe it to me now. Tell me about it. At the age of 10 or 11.
Well, my family helped out within the community a lot. And they had like a prominent business. So, they were known.
You were known.
Yeah.
So bring up that feeling of, oh, you're Krikorian's daughter. Ah, okay. Hello. Okay. Bring that feeling up. I know what it's like to have the ethnic background, my dear darling. You are Armenian, I am Persian. Bring up that ethnic pride and the status and the family and all that stuff. That's a really good insight. And tell me where you felt that innocence in that moment where you just kind of looked and you were like, oh my God, I'm like bigger than all these girls. You're feeling the guilt. Where was your innocence? Can you see any innocence in your intent in that moment?
Absolutely.
Describe it for me.
I didn't know anything about hormones. So
right.
I had no idea what was actually happening to me was perfectly normal.
Exactly. Bring up that feeling of innocence. You were hitting puberty. Did you have lessons in nutrition? Were you raised with lessons in nutrition?
Not really.
No. So it was just basically eating a lot of carbs that is ethnic that is native to what you and I grew up with, right? There's the rice and the breads and the desserts and all that.
All the food I didn't like was very rich in iron, apparently.
All the food you didn't like?
Yeah.
Okay, so where was the innocence in what you were eating and how you were raised?
I would eat what I was given.
Okay, good. Bring up that feeling. You were unconscious. Can you see that at age 10, 11, you weren't actually conscious of what you were eating? You didn't really have to pay attention at that time.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Bring up that feeling of innocence in that moment. And also any pride. Look around the room. Look around at everybody else at that exact moment where you're judging yourself, feeling ashamed for that. Where was your feeling of pride? Around the room, look around, tell the truth. This is where you got to get real, darling.
Okay, so there's two instances.
Uh-huh.
One was in scouting. We would line up in height.
Okay.
So I was one of the taller girls.
Okay.
So I was proud of that.
Okay, so in that exact moment where you're looking around and you're double the weight of people, or weighing way more than the other people, pay attention, pay really close attention, and connect with the pride that you have of being taller. Can you see it was there?
Yeah.
Okay, now here's what you do. I want you to feel it in that moment. Feel that in that moment. Are there any other negative emotions that you feel in that moment other than inadequacy?
Different.
Bring up that feeling of, I feel like I don't belong, like I'm different, I don't belong, and inadequate. Bring that feeling up and feel it in your body now. I don't belong, I'm inadequate, and I'm fat and I'm ugly. Bring those feelings up. Now, keep staying in that and get uncomfortable. Allow that to be. Allow yourself to sit with that. Sit with that one. Now, I want you to look and see. Tell me where you felt superiority. And get real. Don't even convince yourself that you didn't feel it in that moment. Where were you feeling better than those other girls?
I can't remember if it's in the same scene or not.
It is exactly in that same scene, but in that moment where you looked around and you felt that inadequacy and I don't belong, where did you feel? Stay in that same scene. Look around and just sit with it and look in your life at that exact time all around. Where were you feeling this sense of superiority and belonging?
I had just become friends with the coolest girls in the class.
Feel that.
Yeah.
Feel that. Just get that in. Let yourself sit with that one for a moment. Describe that to me, how that made you feel to do that.
It was very different than anything I was ever used to, because I felt like I was one of the loser in the class from first grade until sixth grade. And then in sixth grade, I suddenly started getting close to the cooler girls and started hanging out with the cool clique.
Nice. Just bring that awareness in that you started kind of leveling up socially at that time.
Mm.
Interesting. Let that in. Feel that. Feel that belonging in that scene where you're looking and visually you're seeing a difference and judging yourself, but feel that belonging that you felt in that exact moment. The belonging, the superiority, because you were in this cool status at that time. 10, 11, that's a pretty, social status is a pretty big deal to a 10, 11-year-old. I just really connect to that feeling of getting accepted by the cool girls, despite the fact that you were bigger. Feel that. Can you see at that scene that you had just as much belonging and superiority too?
Yeah.
Any other negative emotions that remain in that scene?
No.
Cool. So here's the question. What was the benefit of you being bigger?
Back then?
Yeah, at that time, at that exact time. Look at the 10, 11-year-old mind, body, where you were at the exact same time, Lori. How did it serve that you were bigger?
Well, I didn't appreciate it at the time, but I had a woman's body at 11.
Mm.
I had
Mm-hmm.
I had a sexy woman's body at 11.
I don't think you're ready for this, Jen.
I think I wasn't ready for that.
Okay, bring that. So you kind of got more precocious, right? You were like one of the earlier bloomers.
I was the earliest bloomer of the school.
Okay, so what was the benefit of you being the early bloomer?
I dated the hottest guy in school, like the coolest.
Sit with that one for a moment. Can you see that your precociousness was one of the things that actually brought that on?
Yeah, now I see it.
Feel that. Can you see that what other benefits was there in that? Did that get you attention? The fact that you were bigger?
It did.
And what was the benefit of that? Did people mess with you?
They did, but I felt confident enough to put them in their place.
Sit with that one for a moment. Why did you feel confident enough?
Because I was bigger than them.
Sit with that one for a moment. Can you see that your size gave you strength internally?
Yeah.
Feel that. I want you to feel that. And how was that a benefit to you? Even though you weren't so thrilled by the way that you looked, how did that strength serve you?
People tried to mess with me, and I really put them in their place.
And it gave you the strength to step up, didn't it?
Yeah.
And the fact that, despite the fact that you had that spurt and you were bigger than everybody, you still got attention from the hottest guy in the class, and you were still kind of leveled up.
It was the school, not the class.
Pardonnez-moi. Excusez-moi. How could I be so short-sighted in that, my dear? In the whole school, and the fact that these girls who were smaller than you, still you were in the cool girls clique.
Yeah.
What did that mean about Lori's personality?
That I'm lovable.
Say that again.
That I'm lovable.
Despite what?
Despite my weight and my size.
Feel that. Ooh, I felt that. Can you guys feel that one? Just really connect with that. Did that give you certainty about who you were internally?
Yeah.
If you were a skinny little mini and you were just the same as everybody else, what would have been the drawbacks at the time?
I would have been ordinary.
And then what would have been the drawbacks to that?
I think a lot of the work that I do now stems from whatever was born in that moment unconsciously.
Can you see that that conflict and that feeling of inadequacy was the spark of your personal development journey at that time?
Guys, when Lori says something that you resonate with, go ahead and tap on those yellow hands on the bottom right and give her some love.
I was talking to Amanda when you guys were in town, and I was telling her that I was watching a video of myself, and I couldn't recognize who I was anymore. And I was like, I operate from this place of inner sexy. And it's funny because right now it's all coming together, and in that scene is where it was born.
Describe that to me. Tell me connect the dots for me, because I'd like to tell me more about that. What do you mean by that? Expand on that. How did that scene connect to your inner sexiness? That scene of conflict of, holy shit, I'm too fat, I don't belong, I'm not good enough. How did that spur on your inner sexiness?
Because at the opposite end of that, there was all this attention that I was getting. There was all this love that I was getting. There was interest from guys that I was getting. So even though I was feeling like I didn't belong, there was the opposite side of me that was reciprocating to the attention that I was getting, and the sexy beast within was born.
Bingo. Can you see, if you weren't overweight in your perception in that scene, you wouldn't have your little sexual diva going on?
Yeah, I can.
What other drawbacks would there be? Okay, so if you, and how has that scene and that conflict helped you as a mother? Because you have a 5-year-old daughter. How has that made you, how has that contributed to any consciousness in your parenting?
We have a lot of junk food in the house. She isn't deprived of anything. I try to make sure that she doesn't eat sugar like too close to her bedtime, or but I don't deprive it from her. So that's one thing. I never ever speak about her body.
Sit with that one for a moment. How does that serve her as a young woman?
I hope that it's not going to give her any complexes. That's my intention.
Does she feel love for whoever she is, or does she feel judged for her body?
Does
she ever feel judgment from you regarding her body?
No, none. Not praise for how skinny she is, or nothing. Just she is loved no matter what.
How did that scene that you went through as a 10-year-old serve you as a mother to a 5-year-old?
I think it serves a lot, actually.
Describe it to me, darling.
I need a moment with this one.
Please do. Take your time. Usually when the person has a shift in perspective, you can actually feel it through Skype or through the phone. I kind of get teary-eyed too, and that's why I love doing these overviews, and people get real. Tell me how that little 10-year-old girl that took one for the team with her weight issues and her inadequacy, how did that serve as a mother to a 5-year-old girl who's developing now and is about to go through those stages that you're describing?
I think that when she does, I can speak to her from experience and not bullshit her. And, I think it's really important that I don't, she'll never hear me make comments like, oh my God, she has beautiful legs. I wish I had legs like that. Or, oh my God, you're so skinny. I hope you stay skinny like this all your life, or anything like that. Like, it doesn't matter.
Can you see that your pain and your conflict in that scene as a little girl has made you ultra sensitive conscious as a mom?
Absolutely.
Now, I've spoken to a lot of mothers. I get to work with a lot of moms doing what I do. And just out of curiosity, do you love your child enough to take the brunt and the beatings, emotional beatings, so that you can make sure that your daughter grows up well-adjusted and loving herself?
Absolutely. In a heartbeat.
Had you grown up completely super duper skinny, perfect weight, all of that stuff, what would be the drawbacks to your daughter?
I probably would have put a lot of value on outside looks and...
Sit with that one for a moment. That's a big one.
Yeah.
And what would that have done to her self-esteem?
It definitely wouldn't have been good for it. When there's so much contributing to low self-esteem, why would I want to add to it?
Yeah, as it is. As it is, there's enough out there, isn't there? Yeah. Beautiful. Now, if you didn't, if you, and these feelings of inadequacy, these feelings of just constant conflict with you in comparison to others, how did that serve in your, how did that contribute in you leveling up socially, do you think?
Can you say that again?
The fact that you had a conflict and a feeling of inadequacy, when you said you leveled up socially with the cool kids, how did that serve? How did your feelings of inadequacy serve you with the cool kids? Did they feel that you were better than them, or did they feel that you were one of them, or did they feel comfortable around you?
I think they felt comfortable around me.
Can you see that your weight issues have assisted in making others in that scene and around you throughout not only give you the strength to step up to anybody who stepped up to you, but also to make others feel comfortable around you socially?
Yeah.
What would have been the drawback to your personal development journey had you not had this weight issue throughout your past from childhood?
Everything stems down to that. Like everything. It's when I started my weight loss journey, and after my first child, before having her, I had gained 50 pounds when I got married, and then throughout my pregnancy, I didn't gain that much weight. Then after my pregnancy, I gained a bit more weight. So at my all-time highest, I was 240 pounds. And like I made a decision that I had to face this insecurity head on and do whatever I had to do to tackle it. And so I committed to my weight loss journey and did whatever I had to do. And I did it. I lost like 50 to 60 pounds in like 6 months.
Way to go.
It was,
and on that journey, what tools did you learn that you've been able to help others with?
so much, because everything, like all of my personal development started after that. So I've become a coach, and I want to devote my entire life to helping people others transform.
Beautiful.
Not just in weight, but in just all aspects of their life.
All aspects. So it started your personal development journey. So go back to that scene when you were 10, 11, and you were watching yourself and you had that spurt of growth that you were just all of a sudden way bigger than everybody in your perception, way bigger than everybody around you. What would you change about that? What's stopping you from loving that scene for exactly what it was?
Nothing.
If you were the same size as everybody else, what would be the drawbacks?
I wouldn't be who I am today.
Would you be strong, actually? Because it's pretty much the source of your strength was your size. And
no.
And this whole feeling of inadequacy that you had because of your weight, what did it force you to do at that age that you weren't willing to do or you weren't ready to do on your own? That feeling, go back to that feeling that you were like, oh my gosh. How did you respond, and what did it force you to do that you weren't willing to do on your own? That's a good question for everybody to ask during really difficult times. What is this forcing me to do that I'm not willing to do just on my own volition?
I think I became more outgoing.
Sit with that one for a moment. That's the one. It forces you to become more outgoing because you were like, okay, well, I got to work a little bit harder than the skinny little bitches.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Damn skinny little bitches. Amanda. I love you.
Amanda.
I love you. I love you.
So here's the question. How did that serve you in becoming more social?
It totally served.
Can you see your weight as being one of the sources of your social superpower? Can you connect the dots there?
Absolutely.
Describe that to me. Tell me how.
It really made me level up and become the social butterfly that I am known and loved to be today.
Why? How would that, why wouldn't that make you go want to crawl into a hole and cover yourself? Why did that make you a social butterfly? Why did you respond that way?
I'm not sure. I think it was just meant to be that way.
Well, can you see that because of the weight, you had to come up with different strategies of getting attention?
Yeah.
And connecting socially with people. So what did you discover and what skills did you refine as a result of not having that physical superpower that that you wish that you had?
I think I just started to like really become a better friend and be there for everyone and just be the fun party girl.
Kind of divert the attention off the physical by up-leveling your personality.
Totally.
Sit with that one for a moment.
Yeah.
What would be the drawbacks to your lovely, engaging, truthful, brave personality if you were a skinny bitch all this time?
We wouldn't be here right now. That's for sure.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And how did your family benefit? How does your family right now benefit from your past conflict with your inadequacy of weight?
I think it puts a lot of things into perspective.
Did it make you more of a superficial person, or would you classify somebody who looks deeper and for depth?
I think I look deeper for depth.
And how is that serving your two kids right now and your family?
I mean, I like to think that I'm teaching them good values, but they're just my values.
Right. Not just external on the outside.
Yeah.
So if you can go back to that scene when you were 12 or 11, 10, 11, and that was your first major thing, and you look at that whole scenario right now, what's stopping you from loving it? What would you change about that whole thing?
I wouldn't change a thing.
Beautiful. Now, coming back to the reality scene last night, in your current reality, when you're resenting yourself, your weight, comparing yourself, all of that stuff you're going through, I want you to bring up that feeling of I'm fat and I'm ugly. And I want you to bring that up. I should weigh less, I'm fat, I'm ugly, all of those feelings that you're feeling in that scene. You'll notice that now that we cleared a previous one in today, like yesterday, doesn't seem to sting as much, does it?
No.
Okay, scale of 0 to 10, where is it now from last night with the self-judgment?
Six, 7.
Cool. So bring up a negative emotion that you felt in that scene. Any guilt, any inadequacy,
Oh, it
any
could be
anger.
the same ones again.
Absolutely. It's just
Okay.
just go to that scene and tell me what comes up. That's exactly what we do. Go to that scene. Just tell me exactly what comes up as a result when you're in it.
I think it's the same ones as the previous one.
Yep.
Guilt, shame, inadequacy,
I want you to
feeling
bring
different.
I want you to bring up the pride. Sorry, the guilt. Excuse me. Bring up the guilt and shame in that scene again, Laura. And I want you to feel that. And now tell me where you felt the pride. Tell the truth. Where do you feel the pride and innocence in that exact moment?
Okay. Since you're putting me on the spot, the scene that I'm actually thinking of
was at the fundraiser a couple weeks ago?
No, the night before your talk on Thursday night.
Okay, perfect. So go to that scene. Perfect.
Okay.
Where you were judging yourself.
Yeah.
All right. Where were you? You were at home?
No, I was at Georgiano's office listening to your talk. And it was when I had gotten up to talk next to you.
Okay, perfect. So go to that moment. That was the Thursday night, right?
Yeah.
Bring up that feeling. Oh, this is going to be easy. Bring up that feeling of shame right now. Feel that shame. Where do you feel the shame in your body?
I feel it in my chest.
Good. Sit with it for a moment as though you're right there and you're feeling that shame in your chest. Now, simultaneously, as you're standing up there feeling the shame, where was your pride?
I was proud to be standing next to you.
Feel that pride and the pride of your transformation as well.
Yeah.
Can you see the pride of your awareness?
I was very proud of my awareness, and I was proud of being able to articulate the work that you do.
Beautiful.
Or that the work that you did with me. Yeah.
Perfect. And also, can you see the pride in the fact that you were going to be participating over the weekend?
Yeah. I felt like a sense of belonging.
Feel that. Let that in there. Just bring that whole awareness. Did you feel the love, the appreciation,
the
pride, the innocence of getting up and serving and sharing your story?
Yeah.
Feel that. That I belong.
Yeah.
That pride.
I felt special. I actually felt like I was a part of the inner circle of Dr. Nima.
Oh, what a amazing place to be. Trust me, you just ask Amanda. It's not always freaking pleasant. Shut up, Amanda. Oh my gosh. Okay, bring up that feeling of pride that you felt in that moment. Can you see that the pain and the pleasure in that scene was balanced?
Totally.
Now, what's the benefit of you being overweight in that scene? Just get out of yourself. Get out of yourself and go up above, looking down from a complete astronaut's perspective, completely impartial, unbiased, looking down, and you're seeing yourself standing there. What's the benefit that you're overweight?
Well, I think that I'm more relatable.
Sit with that one for a moment. As a transformational coach, as somebody who's helping others, as a mom, as a socialite, let's face it, you're this is like, you're the Montreal version of the Kardashians. They're also Armenian. Is it a coincidence? I don't think so.
Let me tell you, if Kim Kardashian were around when I was growing up, I don't think I would have this many insecurities about my weight at the time.
Yeah, she totally. Exactly. I could see that, it's the comparison game. But look down and tell me, what's the benefit of you being overweight to your whole social network, to the fact that you have a message that you want to share? Disconnect from your own feelings of inadequacy and look down and see what's the benefit of your being overweight.
I think that people would think that I'm like normal.
Sit with that one for a minute. Yeah.
You know, like she's just like us. She gets it.
Genuine, real. She doesn't pretend like she's better than us. How important is that to you to really be connected socially with people and really be feeling like you're actually accepted? Can you see that?
That's one of my top values.
Say that again.
That's one of my top values.
Which is what? Being socially accepted?
Being connected.
How does your weight, being exactly as it is, overweight, at this time, remember the words at this time, serve your connection with others?
It serves. I think it serves. I think that this entire time, like I've been actually making videos and posting them as my journey progresses. And the whole thought behind doing that was that I wanted people to see me not when I've made it or when they perceive me as made it, but the whole journey that like I started off as did everybody else. I was in the same place that you're in right now. And if it's possible for me, it's possible for you. That is my message.
With the highest version of Lori in mind, why is it critical for Lori to be overweight at this time?
Because I need to understand what it is like. Because this is what people are challenged with.
Sit with that one for a minute. If you've been skinny and you weighed less and you were perfect weight this whole time, what would be the drawback to that version of you, that coach, that transformational life coach, that person that helps others?
I would be disconnected from what people face.
And if you had all of the strengths and talents and everything that you have, what would be the drawbacks if you had a killer body all this time to boot?
One more time.
If you have all the strengths and talents that you have and a killer body as well, what would be the drawback to your social connections?
I think that there would be vanity and cockiness and a sense of I'm better or like that I'm different.
And how would that affect your social status?
It wouldn't be what I was looking for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you'd have superficial type of connections rather than the real ones.
Yeah.
Can you see that your weight being exactly as it is a strategy that you're using to make sure you have authentic relationships?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
How has it contributed to others feeling comfortable around you? Are people threatened by you, or do they feel comfortable around you generally?
Depends who, but
depends. If you step up to me, you say something about my family.
Yeah. Beat your ass up. No. Yeah, no, I think overall, I think people do think that I'm pretty relatable and approachable. And
now let's look at this. Let's keep talking about this little sexual goddess that came through your weight. If you were skinny, what would be the drawback to your relationship? Let's go back to when it first started, your marriage.
My husband, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not the other one, no. Well, there's that. There is none of that.
Sit with that one for a minute.
Yeah, that's huge.
Tell me.
That's huge.
You know your tendencies, little sexual goddess deviant.
Yes. And I think that I think, okay, this brings up two things, actually, okay? One is that I remember at some point in time, you know, being in my marriage and thinking he loves me for me. I was 240 pounds. I had made the decision that I was going to lose weight, and I was changing in front of my husband, and he looked at me and he said, you know, I want you to lose weight because you want to lose weight. I look at you and I just want to
Sit with that one for a moment.
So
what does that say?
For me.
Say that again.
He loves me for me.
Feel that. Can you see that your weight within your marriage has a couple things? First and foremost, it's been a really undisputable strategy that you've used to find unconditional love.
Yeah.
Can you see that your weight has given you absolute certainty about his loyalty?
Yeah.
As a kid growing up with a family that was torn apart in your perception, can you see that you're unconsciously using it as a strategy to make sure that you pick the right one?
Yes.
Sit with that one for a moment. I just want you to connect those dots. Feel that. Had you been skinny all along, the way you think you should have been, what would be the drawbacks to your certainty of his loyalty?
There would be so many questions.
Are there any questions at this time?
None.
Why?
None.
How do you know? How do you have that freaking certainty? How can you be so certain?
I just know. I know.
Because of your weight? Because of when you were like 240 pounds?
Yeah.
If you didn't have that moment and you didn't reach 240 pound status, would you have the certainty in your marriage that you have?
No. My love for him grew in that moment.
Say that again.
My love for him grew in that moment.
Feel that. Ooh, I felt that. Damn. Can you see that we unconsciously create strategies to find the certainty that we're lacking as a child?
That makes sense.
And that in that time, which was only a few years after the divorce, and you went through a hormonal shift, and you started seeing this as a strategy of getting love, can you see that your weight has been the ultimate strategy you've used throughout your life to gain growth, love, and a deeper connection as a conscious parent?
Yeah.
Just kind of look at that for a moment. If you were like skinny little bitch looking sexy swimsuit model the whole time, what would be the drawback to your marriage, your parenting, your personal growth, and your social status?
I don't think that I would be married to my husband right now.
Say that again.
I don't think I would have been married to my husband right now.
Why?
Because I would have probably ended up with some
superficial
asshole that didn't, give me what I needed or treated me the way I wanted to be treated or appreciate me or, dance this dance of relationship with me.
It's not always a picnic, is it?
No, I feel like I would have been with someone and I would have been dancing alone. Yeah.
Not fully loved and appreciated for all parts of you, unconditionally.
Yeah.
If you didn't have this weight issue, what would be the drawback to your certainty in your family and those kids?
I feel like our foundation is very solid, and I feel like we wouldn't have had that otherwise.
And can you see how a 7-year-old girl whose parents get divorced is doing everything that she's going to in her life to make sure her kids never experience what she had to experience? Just feel that. That was nice. Can you see that your weight has been this dark passenger that's made sure to keep your family together, which was your number one priority? And without it, would you have the certainty that those kids were going to grow up in a household that stayed together?
I see it all now.
What would you change about your weight? Do you still think that you should be a skinny little bitch?
No.
What would you change about your weight at this time?
Nothing.
Beautiful. Do you still feel empty and ashamed?
No.
Do you still feel that you have made mistakes, or you did the wrong thing, or you're judging yourself for your weight?
I am in complete appreciation of my weight.
Can I tell you that if you want to change your body, you first have to love your body exactly for what it is at this time, using it as a strategy to get you exactly what your highest values have been all along, which is a close-knit family that's going to stay together through anything, the ups and the downs, because of what you went through as a child.
Yeah.
So now, some people are just going to think, wait, are you making it okay to be fat? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in every one-on-one case that I've ever done, the weight issue, the money issue, the relationship issue, whatever, is a true, what you're doing is you're truly trying to get your highest values met using this challenge. Your weight is an unconscious strategy to get your highest values met, and it's been working for you, and you've done a damn good job up to now. And if you want to change the weight, it's wise for you to see why at this time you should be exactly weighing the amount that you do.
Well, actually, when I was thinking about this, I don't know if it was today. I think it was today. I'm like walking around my house, nervous, excited, feeling all the emotions, anticipating this right now, and I was talking out loud to myself, and I was telling I wasn't telling anybody. My son was there, and I was like, I don't have the time or the energy or the anything right now to put into losing weight, because I'm giving you all my time. I was looking at my son, and I'm like, I'm giving you all my time, and I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, I'm giving him all my time.
Right. So at this time, it means that you are living your life according to your values at this time. See, if you walk around judging yourself all the time, does that make you want to eat less or eat more?
Definitely more.
Yeah. So right now, as you fill what you perceive to be missing, using this technique to kind of change your perspective, what do you feel like doing? Do you feel like stuffing your face with unhealthy foods when you're in this state?
When I'm in an unhealthy state?
Right now, as you shifted your perception, does this justify you going out and stuffing your face and getting fat, or do you feel like you're full right now?
No, I feel full.
Beautiful. So dissolving the stress of being overweight, just changing your weight, especially if it's something that you just can't. Can you see why, with this unconscious strategy that you have to stay overweight, that no matter what you tried, it wasn't sustainable?
Makes sense.
So in order for you to shift that and change the weight pattern, you first have to make that mind shift and see why you were using the weight as an unconscious strategy. From here, you can now start walking more. You can then start nourishing yourself because you don't feel empty and ashamed anymore, do you?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
When you write the shitty first draft, does a part of you just because you're being real with yourself and giving yourself the permission to feel the feelings that you're feeling, is there a shift that happens?
100%.
Because I have been walking since then. I have been making healthier, I've been craving healthier things, and I thought it was just because I hung out with Amanda for a couple of days.
No. I hang out with her. She eats super duper healthy, and sometimes I like to go, okay, enough of your healthy stuff. Give me a chocolate bar. It's not really about never eating those things. It's about not judging yourself constantly about it. And so once you're really in a balanced state, you're finding yourself primarily eating all the healthy stuff. And if you want a chocolate bar or a piece of chocolate or a candy or whatever, you're not sitting there beating yourself up over it. And then the next day, constantly with a hammer, beating yourself up. Oh, I'm a failure. No, you're on the right track. You're moving forward. You're nourishing yourself, and you're permitting yourself for having a little treat here and there. It's not about judging yourself anymore. But yes, to answer your question, that's why when you do the overview method, the first step is the shitty first draft. Getting it out and puking it out. There's healing factors involved. There's research that shows just by writing your feelings, even though they're negative, actually helps to regulate them. And so that's why it's super duper important, as one of the most necessary parts of the overview is to stop repressing and getting it out there. And it felt like a weight was lifted off to get it out there, wasn't it? And now, from this point, you now understand when you start to reach for those foods, it's because you're feeling inadequate and you're judging yourself.
Okay.
So I'd be curious to see how you do now. What would you love to do moving forward? What are you inspired to do now that you've had that shift? Go back to that scene. First of all, let's go back to that scene when you were 10 to 12. Scale of 0 to 10, where is it now? What would you change about it?
I didn't change a thing.
And that scene on the Thursday night a couple weeks ago in Montreal, as you're looking down at yourself, what would you change? What would you change about your weight up until now, all this journey with your weight? Perfect. From now, you will start to notice a shift in your behavior. Why? Because we remove the belief, the false belief that I should weigh less. I shouldn't weigh as much. Do you have your shitty first draft in front of you?
Let me see.
Can I get you to read it for me right now? And this is the shitty first draft. Those of you who have read it, you guys, when you registered, signed on, you read that shitty first draft. That's an important one. Next week, we got a really good one. And it's about postpartum depression and suicide. And it will chill you. It will rock you to your core when you read your shitty first draft. So one of the coolest things to do is after you're completed an overview, you go back to that shitty first draft. Lori, do you have it up? Can you read it for me? And now pay attention to how you feel when you're reading it now.
At a workshop with Nima last weekend, an interpretation that was hiding deep within my subconscious mind surfaced. I'm too fat to get that kind of attention. I was resisting that. Who wants to admit that they think of themselves, that they think that of themselves? I cried. I cried hard I cried hard when that came out. I cried for the fat girl. I cried because I thought that of her. I cried because I felt her pain. I hate not being able to wear what I want. I hate feeling unattractive. I hate that there's no correlation whatsoever between the way I feel on the inside and the way I look on the outside. There are times I resent skinny girls. Like when we go out to eat and skinny girls eat more than I do and nothing happens to her smoking hot body. A part of me really hates those skinny bitches. I get really frustrated when I'm so desperately trying to find something flattering to wear and nothing fits, or when the clothes I really want to wear don't even stand a chance because they don't make them in my size. When I think about the time and energy it takes to lose weight, my energy drops to an all-time low. It's most frustrating when other people point out that I need to do something about my weight, or maybe I shouldn't eat this or that. I feel so inadequate. Maybe I have a fear that even if I'm skinny, I'll still feel like I'm not good enough. I feel like I've packed on the weight to protect me from something, but I'm not really sure what. Maybe I have a fear that there will be too much temptation if I were skinny. Maybe I have a fear that people would use me for my looks. I remember feeling relieved that my husband loved me for me. After we got married, I gained 50 pounds and he still loved me. After our first child, I lost the weight. I still wasn't skinny, but then with the second child, I gained the weight again. I know I can lose it back, but I wish that I could be skinny without trying too hard. I wish I could eat whatever I want and be skinny. That's how it should be.
How do you feel when you read that now?
I actually feel a lot better about it because I feel like I have answers to those unknowns.
Yeah. And now you have strategies to fill that. You know what your values are, and you can use alternatives to getting those values met other than food.
Yeah.
You can use walking to connect. You can do all sorts of stuff. So your homework basically is going to be all of the things that you love in your connection socially that you're using food with. What viable alternatives can you use to food to other than food to get that connection?
Okay.
Give me some examples of what you can use other than junk food in order to get those connections that you feel that are super duper important in your life.
Overview.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can connect with, by the way, if you're not already, join the Overview Method discussion group. Let's continue this conversation. This is any feedback or questions or whatever, go into the Overview Method discussion group and request to join. And I would love to have you contribute and tell us what you thought of this super fun inaugural live overview. That was fun.
Yeah, so overview, like walks with my kids, having some fun and running around a little bit.
Wrestling a little bit, creating that, all sorts of cool stuff, connecting and creating, healthier alternatives. Because really it's the connection that we're craving, isn't it?
Mm.
And there are so many alternatives to junk food that we can use. So you always have to in order for you to change your weight, you have to transform yourself, right? You have to level up and transform yourself. And then an addiction like food or whatever we use has to be, we can't get rid of it. We have to find alternatives for it. So having a personal development group like the Overview Method discussion group, or, as the facilitators and all that, that's one way of connecting. Taking the kids out, having a strategy daily that's going to move you towards the highest version of you. That's basically what we're going to come up with. And I'm going to ask you to think about that and then post that into the group and tell us what you come up with. Okay. Amanda, you had something?
I do. I just wanted to say that you may be surprised, Lori. I remember when I did the overview on my celiac, and I didn't change. Like the only thing I did different, the only thing that felt was different was after I had loved my strategy of having celiac and saw how friggin' amazing it was, my body reacted to food differently. Mm. So you may or may not be like, I'm going to throw out all the junk food. Like, might not be, okay, it's time for a diet. You may actually find that because you love this strategy and because you love yourself exactly as you are, your body will react to food differently.
That's right.
I'm telling you that, you know, like I went out to pick up food today and I got like grilled chicken, beets, rapini, salad.
Stuff you're not usually used to doing.
No, potatoes that I didn't even touch.
Just from doing after the shitty first draft? That's why, guys who are listening, it's so important. Write down right now, write down a shitty first draft the way that Lori did, being so honest and real. Getting real with your feelings is the first step. We're repressing them all the time. Overview is about demolishing repression, owning every feeling and seeing the other side. That's it. Owning everything that you're feeling, not repressing, expressing it, seeing where it comes from your past, transforming it and turning it around, seeing how it serves you in today, not repressing, but owning and getting real. And when you do that, you feel a transformation. I really look forward to seeing what you're going to do with all this stuff. This has been really cool. And thank you for participating. Thank you, Amanda, for setting this up. Thank you, Darren and Nadeem, my back-end team, who works tirelessly to get all of this. If it wasn't for my team, we wouldn't have been able to do this. And Lori, guys, give some mad love. Tap her screen like hundreds of times there. Give some mad love to Lori for getting so friggin' real. How many of you have the guts to actually get so just ugly truth on a live show? You inspired the hell out of us, and you just leveled up.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you, Lori. And on that note, if there's anybody watching who is interested in being a guest on the show in the future, I've just posted up in the chat a link we have where you can register to be a guest right online.
Or if you are not all of you want to spill the beans on live internet. And so if you want to take that plunge and have a session with me, go to drnima.com and see if you qualify. It's an investment in yourself, but we clear out shit that you can spend $3,000 to $5,000 taking week after week going to a therapist, or we can just clear it all in one session.
Anybody who's had a session, go ahead and tap Nima's screen so we can see how many people out there have had sessions and had an amazing outcome as a result.
What were you going to say?
I want to say that it's worth every single penny. And the first overview that I did with Dr. Nima was about my parents' divorce and all the resentment that I harbored for all of my life from back then. And I kept having a difficult relationship with my father. And it was weird because my father and I love each other so much. But for some reason, there was this energy and we were just butting heads all the time. And I did my my first one-on-one with Nima.
November.
I think it was the end of October. And since then, from then until now, my father and I have had a really good relationship. Like, we don't agree all the time, and we don't, we'll say things that before we would just snap at each other and kill each other. But now it's like we give each other space to be who we are more. The energy is completely different.
And that's because you shifted your perception about him. And this is a tool of shifting perception. I don't think that there is anything more fascinating than this. I've dedicated my life to studying this. I have leaving my lucrative chiropractic career in the pursuit of this because it's something I wholeheartedly believe in. And thank you, Lori. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you all for paying attention and listening. Please share the replay. This was a fantastic inaugural event. I was kind of nervous because not every tool works 100% of the time with everyone. But if the person's willing to get real, like Lori, couldn't have picked a better first test run. And thank you for
Teacher's
doing
pet.
Teacher's
The benefits, hey?
Like, take that,
dude, Darren. I'm so glad, Darren, that you were there. I'm grateful that you participated and you saw what this is about. Darren is one of the newest members on the team, on the Overview team, and now you've experienced what a session's like. And Thank you so much, Sylvain. I'm glad that you participated. Thank you guys all for being there. Love to you all. And I don't know what to do now.
Now you
do
just
I press a
stop
button?
the recording and we all say bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Lori. Love you.
So that was fun.
Thanks. Love you guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that was a good time.
My life will be forever.
So join the
different.
overview method. Join the overview method discussion group, guys, and just put your comments there. And if you want to see if you're eligible for a one-on-one and you want to do it privately, that's between us. Please just go to drnima.com and send me a little buzz, and I will reach out to you and see if you're ready for something like this. And amazing time. And thank you guys. Much
See
love.
you next week, Tuesday.
Next week, Tuesday, same time. It's going to be off the chain.
Bye, everybody.